Hello everyone, welcome to this ninth part in which we'll start seeing how to draw forests and trees out of these continents, okay? The first step is to create a new layer in order to mark, as we did with the mountains, where the forests will go. So we'll zoom in, and in this layer, with a low opacity brush, we're going to start placing the marks of these forests in a green color where there would logically be. For example, near water zones, coast zones, temperate zones. We're going to start filling these zones with marks so we'll know where we can place the forests. Now let's rename the layer we created, and in a new document, like we did with the mountains, the same format, we're going to create the forests. If we enable Lazy Nezumi with Smoothing Massive activated, you'll notice it complicates making this spherical shape treetops have. If we disable scripting and enable it back, we can see we activate this drop-down menu. If we set it to square, notice that we get different effects. We can set it to square, spikes, okay? See that each effect has different parameters that if we adjust them and play around with them, we can get different effects. Check this out. There's an option here called loops that if we handle these parameters as follows, for example, set period to 60 and radius to 10, we automatically get a semisphere that will be perfect to do the forest shape. So write down these parameters, because with these parameters we just saw in this box will be the way we'll do the trees. So let's create a new layer, and this new layer will be the one we paint as we did with the mountains. And we start painting and take out the parts over the edge. The next step is creating another layer, activate Lazy Nezumi, and set the period to 50 and the radius to 5. So we can start doing these treetops on the forest we're drawing. Just like this. Once we're done with this, we'll switch to the option Parallel Lines in order to do the tree trunks. So let's create a new layer, place it below the elements, and change the color in order to draw the trunks. Okay, so now patiently we start doing perpendicular and vertical lines like this. Only the front side. Okay? Once we're done, we'll start generating more color in this image. So we'll lock the transparent pixels and disable Lazy Nezumi. And we'll pick a darker color so we start darkening the elements. For example, the trunks part right below the leaves could be a bit darker. And on top of the treetops, we create the lights and shadows. Remember, we'll see all these very small in the map, so it's not necessary to make it too detailed. Then finally, with the mixer brush, we mix the colors. Finally, we create a new layer that we'll place below everything. And well, with the brush tool at a 68% opacity, we're going to create some kind of floor. Something simple. Like this. So turn down the opacity. And finally, we can make some light spots. We can do all these new details in new layers so we can generate color in a non-destructive way and be able to lower the opacity whenever we need. Finally, we can grab all the elements, create a group all these layers, and convert it into a smart object. So we could rename this layer to forest, save the document, and place this forest on the map. For example, one around here, then duplicate each element and modify it like we did with mountains, like non-destructively, generating different copies and using the advantages of having them inside smart objects. Now we create a new document. We can open the mountains document to use the same format. And enabling and using the option smoothing in LazyNezumi, we're going to create the treetops of some trees. These trees will be pines, and it will be one of the variations of trees we'll find in this world. First, we create the line. Then, as always, we paint. In this case, from the line itself, we'll paint this zone completely black. Like this. We'll duplicate this layer, so we have another tree copy. And we'll create the shadow of these pines on the right side. As we did with the mountains, we'll create some parallel lines like this. Simple. In order to do these shadows. After this, we go to Filter, Liquify, and aided by Liquify and the Smudge tool, this option here, we'll set a bigger size to the brush. Like this. We'll start pushing these zones in order to create protuberances in these trees. Like this. We keep going to give it a bit more detail. Hit OK. And we'll do the same with the other tree. We can do this as many times as we want in order to make different copies of these trees, but I think 2 is enough. We'll create a new layer, which we'll place below the line, and we'll use it to paint the tree trunks. We'll create another layer for the other tree and do the same. We paint a bit of floor, and in the lines part, with the Lock Transparent Pixels feature enabled, we'll start painting these trees green, as you see with this gradient. And now we take them and place them in our map. Using Ctrl-T, we scale them. And now patiently we'll place these trees. Okay? Remember to place all these forest masses in temperate zones with water. We take the forest we previously made and we'll start placing all these. See how I'm placing it? So you do the same in your maps. We can duplicate and rotate elements with the addition in order to generate different variations of each element. Once we've finished all these, we organize all the layers so we can work more comfortably. I'm going to zoom in so you can see the different forests and mountains I did. Notice that lots of them are the same and other I generated from scratch. See? Here you can see different models I did of forests, following always the same parameters or steps. Different types of pines, some snowed over, some with a more autumnal look. And we have different mountains here I created. So we'll leave this part of the course here, and in the next one, number 10, we'll keep drawing settlements, cities, and villages we can find in this map. Okay? So we'll save the document, and I'll see you in a bit. See ya!